Now, we've opened up on the show many times about postnatal depression, but have you heard about prenatal depression? New figures show that twice as many women are plagued by anxiety and stress during their pregnancy. So, Nadia, what do you think about this? Are you surprised?
No, I'm not. And I think it's really good to talk about because there will have been a time when we didn't really talk about postnatal depression and people will have suffered and other people around them wouldn't have known what to look for. And if you think about how so much of us as women can be driven by our hormones. You know, you only got to look at premenstrual tension, postnatal depression, menopause. So we can be, our hormones are amazing and women's bodies are incredible, but also our hormones can cause a lot of upset mentally and physically. So it doesn't surprise me. In fact, I did know somebody that I was convinced had gone into a antenatal depression, changed so much in her pregnancy. So I think it's really good to talk about, for sure. I think that obviously there is just normal stress and anxiety and low mood.
Because I think everyone probably gets a bit anxious.
Yeah, and I think we can all identify with that. So I think it's good to talk more about the other side of that can be something much darker. And I was just reading actually that gone unchecked can then lead into postnatal depression. So I think it's great. I mean, I was lucky enough that I had a great pregnancy the first time, and with the normal anxieties, you know, it doesn't move around enough and you get a bit scared and then you get sorted out. But, oh, my God. But some of the photos that suddenly arrived behind us. But with Kiki, who's my youngest, because I'd had miscarriages before and because I was told that it was highly unlikely that I would carry a baby to full term, and then very suddenly all the symptoms that I had just suddenly disappeared, the blazing headaches. I was convinced that that I'd lost her, that she was inside me but had died, to the point where I just carried on through Christmas because I didn't want to upset people's Christmas. And it was like, to me, that's actually really irrational behaviour. But when I was in it, it seemed perfectly rational. That I was just, oh, well, I'll just carry on. I mean, I must have been so upset, but you would not have known it. So there was obviously something weird going on there. I mean, luckily, thank God, then after Christmas I discovered not only was she there, but she was doing really well, so thank God. But,
Mariella, what do you...
Well, I think, you know, pregnancy is a really scary time for most people, so I think it's absolutely normal if you're filled with stress and anxiety, and I don't think, you know, social media helps because it, you know, if you look on there, then every disaster that you haven't been able to imagine will become apparent. And I think, you know, depression is obviously different from stress and anxiety, but that also exists, and as you say, you know, is often very linked to women's hormones. I guess, you know, I think that ultimately all of these things being discussed and in the open is really, really important. I think the whole area of women's health, which hasn't been invested in the same way as men's health has been, and the fact that, you know, women used to go to work 10 minutes after having a miscarriage and pretend that they were OK, and that was acceptable and you were expected to. And I think the fact that all of those things are now actually up there on the table for discussion and to be understood better, I think is a brilliant thing. You know, I have to say, you know, for me personally, I was the happiest I've ever been, I think, when I was pregnant. I think my hormones were just like, woo! And I had breasts for the first time. And
Did you put them to good use?
Oh, certainly. Look at the state of me.
Oh, look, she had the backs out.
I looked in a box the other day, and it was full of my favourite, like, maternity dresses. I don't know why I kept them, you know, nostalgia. And every single one of them was really low cut. It was kind of, you know, hello, boys. And then it went back to normal straight afterwards. I'm very disappointed. But I really made the most of those sort of 2 years that I was pregnant, because I was pregnant first with my daughter and then my son.
Oh, you got pregnant straight away.
You know, talking about all of it, it's super important, and, you know, it feels like a progress.
Yeah, but I mean, it's important as well to say pregnancy can be a beautiful thing and full of joy, isn't it?
Yeah,
as well.
You know, I really enjoyed my pregnancy as regards to, like, the change in my body and the freedom in my body of being able to wear anything I want and not worry because I've got a bump. And, you know, the way I really tried to take care of myself, and how sometimes you even sport, you know, you get on the bus or you walk down the street and people want to have a conversation with you. But I had both of my pregnancies, I had really traumatic issues that happened, circumstances, you know, a breakup, my mum dying, you know, there was...
So outside issues.
Yeah,
from
outside,
pregnancy.
which really, I think, definitely impacted me and had an impact on me, should I say, after I had the children. But I think culturally, it was never a thing to go to family and friends and say, oh, I think I've got postnatal depression. And now on reflection, I probably did have, you know, that was probably as
I wonder
pre.
if you had prenatal.
Yeah, they're probably pre, but I was enjoying the physicality. But I know there was times I was quite emotional and things was happening, but it was always discussed with me, like, to be strong, get through it.
Yeah.
You know, losing my mum 4 weeks before giving birth to my son and caring for her until she passed away. And then, you know, having a breakup and all other issues, you know, finances was low, worrying about going to lose my property, all those different kind of things, and still working. And it's not until afterwards, I didn't even go through the postnatal depression. I just got to a stage where it's like, oh, well, it's depression. And it's mad how you can kind of just, like, move that over, whether that's because of culturally, society. So I think something like this being discussed is really important because it allows women to speak about something without being dismissed.
Yeah,
or
and
to be told, like, oh, don't worry, just get on with it. There's actually something.
Yeah, I think it allows women to say, I'm struggling, I'm finding this really hard, and it's not all flowers and bells and whistles. I'm finding it hard.
That is the biggest problem, isn't it, around pregnancy, because you're supposed to be euphoric. It's
Yeah.
like motherhood. You know, you're supposed to be brilliant at it,
Which
and
is
every
the same
minute
problem
is
with
supposed to be
postnatal.
delightful.
You're supposed to just be so in rapture with your baby.
Yeah.
And that pressure. But Kira's, you're going to be a granny. Does it transfer? Do you get
Do you
the
know
anxiety
what?
as a
I don't
grandmother?
remember when I was pregnant. I don't remember being worried, really. I just loved it, and you know, but it was way back in the day. Now with Kira, because of social media, I'm a complete and utter nervous wreck because of the stuff
interesting.
and the scaremongering. There's some great stuff and very informative stuff, but it's balanced, you know, it's overridden by so much. If you do this, your baby will die. If you do this when you're pregnant, you'll die. It's like everything she does. I've turned into this lunatic. So, I'll pick your tea up for you, Kira. I mean, it's so... And I keep saying to her, stay off social media because it's a scary place to be right now. And everyone has different opinions, different experiences. The only thing she has said to me, which is upsetting her more than anything, is, Mum, how have you lived with breasts this big all your life? Anyway, if you're worried about your mental health while pregnant, go to itv.com/helplines, which has some organisations that can help.